one of the great marvels of the natural world is the sea turtle. These little guys, they're on the eastern coast of Florida. They're loggerhead sea turtles, and the eggs have been laid and buried in the sand, and the warmth of the sun kind of hits them. And finally they break through the egg, and they break through the sand, and then one little guy works up enough courage, and he makes a break for it. He starts heading for the ocean. And as soon as he does, every one of the rest of them follow. Man, they make a beeline for that ocean. They've been on that beach for a minute, 2 minutes. So however long they've been there. And there's this ocean. They've never seen the beach before. They've never seen the ocean before. But they just know somehow, get to the ocean, and off they go. I didn't show the ones where all the birds are there, getting the baby turtles, you know. Not a whole lot of them end up surviving. But it's fascinating what happens to those that do. They begin to just explore the world. Some swim up the eastern seaboard, as far as New York or Boston or even Maine. Some swim right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Others make it all the way over to the European coastline, the Mediterranean Sea, the north or the western coast of Africa. I mean, they go everywhere. And they'll be out there for years, just growing and developing. And then all of a sudden, in the midst of this incredible global journey, something just awakens inside of them. And they get this urge to go home. They get this inner drive to somehow find that one beach, that one place where they were born. And somehow, we still don't understand it. Those few short minutes on that one section of beach imprinted something so deeply in that little hatchling sea turtle that years later, and a half a world away, it's able to find its way back to the very same spot. It's a mystery, but it's somehow imprinted or encoded in there, and they've got to make it back home. We human beings are the same way. Somehow, even though humans spent so little time in actual paradise, as we'll come to see in a minute, something got so imprinted in our spiritual DNA and passed on to generation after generation that we all just long for that place where everything's right inside us and around us. Jesus gave us some great insight into the origin of the human race and into the dilemma of the human existence. Here's what Jesus taught. Jesus said, in the beginning, there was God. And God always existed and always will exist. And He is eternal, no beginning or end, and the source of all things. And Jesus taught that God then created the physical world. He created the universe. He created the sun and the moons and the stars and the galaxies. He created the earth. And He created the plants and the animals. And then right as God was wrapping up this incredibly powerful and complex thing of creating, God made His crowning achievement. He created humans. Humans back then had really big hearts. He created people. Adam and Eve. And where did God put them? Think for a minute. Where did He put them? For those of you that are real Bible scholars, give me the answer. Where did He put them?
Paradise.
He put them in the Garden of Eden. He put them in paradise. He put them in an absolutely gorgeous place. Trees, and flowers, and I draw animals, but my artistic brilliance would blow you away. And so this is how it originally was. There was God, who has personality and emotions and feelings and is relational. And he created the physical universe, and the crowning point of his creation was human beings. And the human beings he created had everything going right inside of them. And he put them in a perfect environment where everything was right around them. And it was literally paradise. That's where he intended for people to be. And somehow, in those moments, in those days or weeks, however long this was, something got imprinted on humans that said, this is home. But what happened in paradise? Maybe you know the story. Maybe it's sketchy, whatever. I'll kind of fill it in for you. These people decided, well, they couldn't muster up enough love for God or enough trust in God to live according to the plan he laid out. Even though his plan was paradise. They couldn't muster up enough love or faith in God to live according to his plan, and so they basically rebelled. And they said, we don't want to live under these guidelines. We don't want to live for those things. We want to live our own way. We're going to do our own thing. That's what eating the fruit was all about. And when that happened, suddenly, rift in the cosmos. And consequences began to ripple. The first thing that happened was there was a break in a relationship between these people and God. They had breached their relationship with God. They had betrayed love and fidelity. And God was justifiably hurt and angry. And their relationship was broken. And then as the story unfolds in Genesis chapter 3, we find that the next thing that happened was suddenly things went wrong inside of people. Now suddenly they were filled with guilt over what they had done. They felt ashamed. And now suddenly they were filled with fear. And fear gripped them and drove them. And suddenly they become very self-centered as the world became about them. And it just gunked everything up on the inside. And as it got gunked up on the inside, you know, as things went wrong inside of these people, then things started going haywire between these people. And their relationship got fractured. And then the next thing that happened is they got booted from paradise. They had to leave that perfect, pristine, gorgeous environment. And that's the origin and dilemma of humanity. And believe it or not, this one simple picture, this one simple story is one of those overarching stories that explains all the other stories we see in life, including the stories that are our lives. Disconnected from God, something wrong on the inside, which makes it hard to conduct relationships on the outside. And we're driven from paradise, and we're in a really hard, harsh, and fallen world. And we're all living that story because Adam and Eve's story is my story. And Adam and Eve's story is your story because it's the story of us all. And disconnected from God, messed up in many but very real and profound ways on the inside, driven from the environment we're supposed to live in, we all just move through life looking through doors. So is paradise in there? Is paradise in there? Because somehow I know that's where I am meant to be. That's where I am meant to be. So, is there a door that gets us back